let us discuss about a structure of female reproductive system. A structure of female reproductive system that involves following parts. Those parts are pair of ovaries, pair of fallopian tubes, or pair of oviducts, uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia. Pair of ovaries, they are the female gonads, and a pair of fallopian tubes, otherwise said to be pair of oviducts. Uterus is also named as womb. And cervix, a female genital organ, vagina, and external genitalia. These are the parts. And these are pair of ovaries. These pair of ovaries, they are being present on either side of lower abdominal cavity and being attached to the wall of pelvis and also the uterus by ligament. This pair of ovaries which are present in the lower abdominal cavity on either side of lower abdominal cavity and being attached to the pelvis. This is pelvic region. It is attached to the pelvis and also to the uterus by ligament. Already we have discussed about male reproductive system, where the male gonads are pair of testes, but those pair of testes are not there in abdominal cavity. They are enclosed in outgrowth of skin, that is scrotum. But here in female reproductive system, these pair of ovaries, they are present in the lower abdominal cavity on either side and being attached to a wall of pelvis and also uterus by ligament. And in this ovary, its length is around 2 to 4 centimeter and is covered by a thin epithelium. Is covered by thin epithelium, and that epithelium encloses ovarian stroma. Inside there is an ovarian stroma. This ovarian stroma is distinguished into peripheral cortex and central or medulla. The length of ovary is 2 to 4 centimeter, and it is having the covering a thin epithelium which encloses ovarian stroma inside, and this ovarian stroma is distinguished into peripheral cortex and a central medulla. And in ovarian stroma itself, there will be a development of Graafian follicle when the females reach puberty age. Graafian follicle. In this Graafian follicle, there is a female gamete, that is egg or ovum is developed. It is about pair of ovaries. And now pair of fallopian tubes or oviduct. This is a fallopian tube. This is a fallopian tube. Or oviduct. It starts from the ovary and ends in uterus. And this fallopian tube is distinguished into 3 parts. Those 3 parts are infundibulum, and a slightly enlarged portion, that is ampulla, and a part which connects to the uterus is isthmus. These 3 are the distinct parts of fallopian tube. Infundibulum, that is the part which connects ovary, and a slightly enlarged portion is ampulla, and the part of fallopian tube which is connected to uterus is isthmus. And this infundibulum is having a finger-like projections. Those finger-like projections are named as fimbriae. Those finger-like projections are named as fimbriae. With the help of these fimbriae, infundibulum is connected to ovary. And one more thing we must remember, that is ampulla. Remember, ampulla is a part in the fallopian tube where we do find fertilization. A fusion between egg and sperm takes place in ampulla part of fallopian tube. Is taking place in ampulla part of fallopian tube as well. And this is the only part. Even in isthmus, sperm and egg face each other. No chance for fertilization. Only that enlarged portion of that fallopian tube named ampulla where the fertilization is possible. And it's about the fallopian tube, and a pair of fallopian tubes are there. And remember, the connection of this fallopian tube to the ovary is temporary. It is temporary. Once the pregnancy is achieved, these fimbriae will be separated from the ovary at both the sides. This connection is temporary. And now let us go to uterus or womb. And this womb is a triangular shape. This is uterus. It is a triangular shaped, and this triangular shaped uterus is having a dome shaped fundus and body, and the last part is cervix. And that uterus womb is triangular shape, having the three parts: fundus, body, and a cervix. And cervix leads into cervical canal, and the cervical canal leads into a female genital organ, vagina. A female genital organ, vagina. And they may ask one last question: which is the opening of uterus? That is the cervix. Cervix is the opening of uterus. This uterus having fundus, body, and a cervix. Cervix leads into a cervical canal, and that leads into a female genital organ, that is vagina. Remember, cervix and a cervical canal and a vagina, these three together named as birth canal. Cervix, cervical canal, and a vagina, these three together named as birth canal as well, because the embryo development takes place after fertilization and in the uterus only, and is attached to the lining of that uterus, and during delivery that infant passes through cervix, cervical canal, and a vagina. That's why it is said to be birth canal. Birth canal. And now the wall of uterus is having three distinct layers: outer, perimetry, and a middle, myometry. Myometry, and inner lining, that is endometry. That outer perimetrium is a thin epithelium, is a covering of uterus, and a myometrium, middle, it consists of smooth muscles, involuntary muscles, and those smooth muscles only undergo rhythmic contraction and relaxation at the time of delivery. That is the main function of these muscles present in myometrium. And the inner lining is a glandular endometrium. And this inner layer, glandular endometrium, it gets damaged and reformed during a cyclic changes during menstrual cycle. Every 28 days, that inner lining endometrium gets damaged, and blood vessels present in endometrium are ruptured and leads to the bleeding at the end of menstrual cycle. That bleeding is mainly due to a damage of that endometrium, and that endometrium once again is reformed. So that cyclic changes during menstrual cycle, this endometrium gets damaged. This is about the structure of female reproductive system, and in which the vagina is a female genital organ, is meant for maturation and also the introduction of into the uterus through the vagina only during sexual intercourse, and this diagram shows the parts up to vagina. Here I didn't draw that external genitalia. To know about external genitalia, we needed to draw another diagram. But in case a 5 marks question is asked with neat label diagram, describe the structure of female reproductive system, your work is to draw this diagram and explain the parts. But for this external genitalia, we do have another diagram, and this external genitalia consists of the parts mons, pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, hymen, and vaginal orifice, vaginal opening, vaginal orifice. These are the parts. While explaining about this, you have to mention about these parts. To know about these parts and their positions, we have to draw another diagram. Let us discuss about the last part of female reproductive system, that is the structure of external genitalia. The structure of external genitalia, female external genitalia, female external genitalia consists of mons, pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, hymen. Mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, clitoris, and hymen. These are the parts of female external genitalia. First one, mons pubis. Mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissue which is covered by skin and pubic hair. This part is mons pubia. What is mons pubia? It is a cushion of fatty tissue, a tissue made filled with fat, and is covered by skin and pubic hair. Pubic hair in the sense, the hair which appear at puberty, at adult age, are named as pubic hair. And this mons pubia is a cushion of fatty tissue covered by skin and pubic hair. And here we can notice this is uterus, and uterus having the opening of this uterus is cervix, and this uterus leads into a tubular vagina, a a tubular vagina. It is provided with the opening. That opening is named as vaginal orifice. Vaginal orifice. This vaginal orifice is covered by pair of fleshy folds. A pair of fleshy folds named as labia majora. A pair of fleshy folds which are started from mons pubia and goes down around the vaginal orifice. And within this labia majora, one more pair of folds named labia minora. Labia minora. Those are another pair of folds, but these are not fleshy folds which are there within labia majora. And at the junction of labia minora, there is a very tiny finger-like structure. This structure is named as clitoris. A finger-like structure at the junction of labia minora is named as clitoris. And this vaginal orifice is covered by a thin membrane. A thin membrane. This membrane is named as hymen. The thin membrane is said to be hymen, and this hymen will be broken at the time of first coitus, means at the time of first sexual intercourse. This will be broken. Sometimes, if the female is a sports personality, during horse riding or cycling, this hymen may be broken, and due to sports activity it will be broken. It doesn't mean it will be broken only at the time of first sexual intercourse. No, sometimes it will be broken at sports activities like horse riding, even bicycle riding as well. And even this hymen may be remained persistently after sexual intercourse also. It will be remained. And here we do notice urinary bladder, and this urinary bladder is having the opening. This opening is named as urethra, and this urethra opens into that labia minora in front of clitoris. In front of clitoris, and it is meant for urination, maturation. And a vagina is meant for the introduction of a male genital organ, penis, at the time of sexual intercourse to introduce semen into the uterus. And in that cushion of fatty tissue, that is mons pubia, where we do see pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis. It is about the structure of female external genitalia. The female external genitalia includes mons pubis. It is a cushion of fatty tissue covered by skin and pubic hair, and labia majora are the fleshy folds which are present around vaginal orifice. And a vaginal orifice is the opening of a long tube named vagina. That vagina is continued from uterus, as uterus opens into vagina by the opening named cervix. And within the labia majora, there are one more pair of folds named labia minora. And in this labia minora only urethra of urinary bladder opens. That is meant for micturition. And at the junction of labia minora, there is a tiny finger-like structure named clitoris. And that vaginal orifice is covered by a thin membrane. That membrane is named as hymen. And this membrane usually will be broken at the time of first sexual intercourse or coitus. Sometimes during sports activities like horse riding, even bicycle riding, that hymen may be broken. And in some women, this hymen may be remained after first sexual intercourse as well. And this hymen is not the indicator for virginity of sexual experience, because during sports activity also it will be broken. It's about external genitalia. We have studied about female reproductive system. That female reproductive system includes pair of ovaries, pair of oviducts, uterus, and female genital organ, vagina. In addition to these parts of female reproductive system, mammary glands are the integrated parts of female reproductive system. Even these are also the part and partial of female reproductive system. In females, pair of functional mammary glands, even they are otherwise said to be breasts, and these are developed at thoracic region. The thoracic cavity is covered by ribs, and in between ribs there are muscles. These are between ribs, and this is a cover for thoracic cavity. And from that thoracic cavity, externally, pair of mammary glands are present. And next to these ribs, there is a muscular layer. This is named as pectoralis major muscles. Next to ribs, there is a muscular layer. That muscular layer is named as pectoralis major muscles. And mammary glands, they are functional only in females. They do have a fatty tissue and a glandular tissue. Fatty tissue is present on either side. Peripheral fatty tissue. Peripherally, mammary glands do have fatty tissue, and internally it is having glandular tissue. They are meant for the secretion of milk, glandular tissues. Internally, there are 15 to 20 compartments are there 15 to 20 compartments, and these compartments are named as mammary lobes. Their number is around 15 to 20 internally. And in these mammary lobules, there are mammary alveoli. Singular alveolus. A group of mammary alveoli are there, and these alveoli are meant for the production of milk after childbirth. These mammary alveoli are meant for the production of milk, and that milk produced by alveoli is stored in their lumen, their cavity, stored in their cavity, and from these alveoli that milk flows through a very minute ducts. These ducts are named as mammary tubules. Mammary tubules. And mammary tubules, they are very minute. They come from each lobule, each lobe, and these mammary tubules join to form little larger mammary ducts. Mammary ducts. And these mammary ducts get enlarged and become mammary ampulla. These, all the mammary ducts, they get enlarged. These enlarged structures are named as mammary ampulla. And all the mammary ampulla all together join and forming a common duct. This common duct is named as lactiferous duct. The duct is said to be lactiferous duct. Through this lactiferous duct only, milk is sucked. And this lactiferous duct opens at the tip of nipple, through which milk is sucked. Around the nipple, there is a dark stained tissue. That dark stained tissue is named as areola. That dark stained tissue is named as areola. This is about the structure. Pair of mammary glands are integrated part of female reproductive system, and these mammary glands, they are functional in females, and these pair of mammary glands are also named as breasts. And these breasts are present external to the thoracic cavity, and the thoracic cavities are covered by the ribs, and in between these ribs muscles are there, and next to ribs there is a muscular layer. That muscular layer is named as pectoralis major muscles. And mammary gland consists of two types of tissues. One is fatty tissue, another is glandular tissue, milk producing tissue. a fatty tissue is present at the periphery. A fatty tissue is present at the periphery, and a glandular tissue is present internally. And that glandular tissue forms, there are around 15 to 20 mammary lobes. 15 to 20 mammary lobes internally. In each mammary lobules, a group of glandular cells are there. Those glandular cells are named as mammary alveoli. And these mammary alveoli, singular alveolus, are meant for the production of milk, and the milk which is produced is stored in their cavities, and that milk passes through a very minute duct named mammary tubules, and mammary tubules of each lobe join to form little larger mammary ducts, and these mammary ducts, they end with a swollen, bulged or enlarged part named mammary ampulla, and all these mammary ampulla join to form a common duct. That common duct is named as lactiferous duct, and that lactiferous duct opens at the tip of nipple, and through this milk is sucked. And around the nipple there is a dark stained tissue. That dark stained tissue is named as areola. That is said to be areola. And then, as far as the milk production in these mammary glands, it is taking place after childbirth. The milk production in mammary glands is under the control of one hormone, that is LTH, luteotropic hormone. Luteotropic hormone is also named as mammotropin, or prolactin, is a pituitary hormone, and this hormone is a luteotropic hormone, is also named as mammotropin. Why it is said to be mammotropin? It is said to be mammotropin because the milk production in mammary glands is under the control of this LTH, and also is named as prolactin. And remember, LTH is a hormone which is produced only in case of females. It is produced only in case of females. And one more interesting thing about this luteotropic hormone is that it creates maternal instincts. Maternal instincts. It means thai karulu. Because of this hormone, mother is more affectionate to their babies rather than father. And mother is always more affectionate mainly because this hormonal secretion is there in females, and it creates maternal instinct. And remember, this LTH is mainly meant for the milk production in mammary glands. And one more hormone of pituitary only is involved, that is oxytocin. Oxytocin. This oxytocin is a hormone of pituitary only, but it is meant for ejection of milk from the opening of lactiferous duct after childbirth. You should not get confused with the role played by these two hormones. LTH is mainly meant for the production of milk, and oxytocin is meant for ejection of milk after childbirth. We should remember the function of these two hormones.